Okay, you're now live. You may begin.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. This is the January meeting of the Scottsdale Environmental Advisory Commission. And I would like to begin our agenda by having a roll call. Mr. Connor, will you call the roll?
Certainly. Chair Schlosser.
Here.
Vice Chair Bossy.
Here.
Commission members Abranovich will not be with us tonight. Commission member Chrisman Lazar.
Present.
Commission member Coletta.
Present.
Commissioner Kluklik has not joined us yet, but I expect him to join us. And then Commissioner Johnson.
Here, thank you.
Very good, thank you. We do have a quorum, sir.
Okay. Relative to public comments, we have not gotten any public comments on our web page or verbally, so I'm going to move to agenda item number 1, the approval of the regular meeting minutes from December 16th of 2020. And I would like to have a motion to accept those meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved. This is Vice Chair Bossy.
Do I have a second?
Second, this is Natalie Chrisman Lazar. Thank you.
All right. Tim, would you please have a roll call vote?
Certainly. Let's see. Chair Schlosser.
Yes.
Vice Chair Bossy.
Yes.
Commissioners Natalie Chrisman Lazar.
Yes.
Commissioner Anthony Coletta.
Yes.
And Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, it passes with the members that we have present.
Okay. I'd like to move on to agenda item number 2, which is, scroll a little bit more, please, Sam. Thank you. Update and discussion on the urban heat island study. Tim, this was something that you were the staff liaison with. And I see we also have David, who is our contact at the Rob and Melanie Walton Sustainability Solutions Group at ASU. Tim, I will defer to you.
Okay, very good. If most of you had been at the past, let's see, it's 2 meetings ago, David came in and gave us an introduction of the process that they're working on for our urban heat island effect in Scottsdale specifically. Bill Campbell is also on the line. He is the portfolio manager for the same school. But David's going to provide us another presentation of an update of where they're at today with their research and hopefully where they're headed in the next coming few months. David, take it away.
Thanks so much, Tim. And I believe there are some slides that accompany the remarks today, just a few. And the second slide, the one where I will start, has a bunch of good-looking faces and mine on it as well. If that is just to get confirmation that we are able to see the slides.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Dave Hondula from ASU. Pleasure to be back, and thanks again for putting us so early on the agenda. As Tim mentioned, we are partnering with the city to think about strategies for urban heat mitigation. And we have a team of researchers at ASU who I am representing today. And in particular, wanted to thank Mary Wright, who's the graduate student who's really doing a lot of the day-to-day work on this project. If we go to the next slide, just a reminder that our project has 5 components that we agreed to with city staff. And as was the case last time, most of our efforts have been on tasks 1 and 2 thus far, understanding variability in the city in climate conditions and the land cover. And this is helping set us up for thinking about what steps 3 and 4 might look like in terms of specific policy and action recommendations, as well as educational materials for the public. If we move on to slide 4, please, this is just a reminder for those who might not have been on 2 meetings ago, or maybe we have new members of the public who are joining, that we are focusing this project on 3 growth areas within the city. And these were prioritized by staff. And eventually we will very likely be talking about, and we have been talking about, specific sites and projects within each of these growth areas. We can move on to slide 5, please, which is a full map. Both staff and commissioners in our meeting last time were looking for a full map of land surface temperatures across the city of Scottsdale. And here is version 1 of a relatively good looking map, we would argue. Tim has this file, and there is a web version of this map that is in progress as well. Tim, I can't remember if Mary was able to get you the link or not, but we hope that this will be a good resource for staff and potentially for public engagement as well. We'd certainly be happy to take any questions or hear your recommendations for ways to improve the visual aspect of the map. But while we have this map up, I wanted to remind everyone that what we're looking at here is a map of the land surface temperature, literally the temperature of the ground as measured from a satellite. This is what you're looking at here is from a composite of many images collected during the summer months in 2020. But the satellite only passes over our region at approximately 11 o'clock in the morning. So we're looking at the pattern in ground temperatures at just one point in time, 11 in the morning. And of course, we expect that pattern to change throughout the day. And we're interested in understanding how the air temperature varies, not just the ground temperature. So we are gearing up to make some measurements in the spring around the city, in certainly focusing on these growth areas, but very likely focusing on particular parts of the growth areas. And we'll be using a number of different strategies. Our exact plan is yet to be finalized. Our primary tool will be vehicles. We'll have sensors attached to our vehicles. We have a technique that's been used for 10 or 15 years to do this type of mapping. We'll be driving particular routes through the city, and then we'll be using the data we collect from these vehicle traverses to make a model of how air temperature varies in other parts where we don't drive the car. We'll very likely be complementing that work with bicycle and perhaps even pedestrian traverses, so we can get to some places that cars cannot get. And we also think that we'll put up some monitors to collect data over a longer time period, so we can potentially monitor change over multiple years. So we'd love to hear some recommendations that you would have, either about times or places. If you could imagine a map like the one we're looking at, focused on the growth areas, but it would show air temperature, not ground temperature. Would you like to see an early morning map, an afternoon map, an overnight map, a map for late spring, and a separate map for early summer? We have the potential, and we plan to do multiple rounds of measurements, but we could use your guidance as the environmental advisors for the city on what type of maps would really be the most impactful. One daytime, one nighttime, one for June, one for April. We have our own ideas, but we'd love to hear yours. And if there are any particular places where you'd really like us to focus, we'd love to hear those ideas as well. So I'll be quiet for a moment as you noodle over that prompt. And we've heard some recommendations from staff already. Thank you, Tim, and your colleagues. If you'd like to reiterate any of those, we'd certainly be happy to hear them in this forum, but particularly from the commission members, as we work toward one or multiple, quote, urban heat island maps for the growth areas, what times of season, times of day would be of interest to you?
Commissioner Schlosser, you have your hand up.
This is Chair Schlosser, and thank you for the invitation to provide insight. My biggest concern is the loss of cooling in the evening in the summer months. I believe that, if we can lower the heat island effect at night, we will also see the evening temperatures go down. And I think while most of us are used to seeing high temperatures during the day, I think the financial impact is having high temperatures continue overnight, because for most of the residents of Scottsdale, they would be going home. They would be turning their air conditioners up. And if we can lower the ambient temperature in the evenings, I think we would have a dramatic impact on the energy costs for the average citizen. So if you ask, air at the times of day, I would like to perhaps comment that maybe a temperature at noon and a temperature again at say 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. would capture the ability of the environment to reflect the heat back off of the cement and the land and back out into space and allow us to see a true cooling effect at night. Relative to specific spaces or places, I think that a large number of areas that we're looking at are industrial areas. And while the urban heat island effect is certainly going to impact them during the day, by 6 o'clock, most of these geographies are pretty much people free. So probably I would be more concerned with residential areas to see how the impact of our efforts are to reduce the temperature in residential areas in the evening, as opposed to reducing the temperatures in the industrial areas in the evening. And with that, I am going to go back on mute and
Chair Schlosser, thank you so much. A number of really important pieces of guidance you provided there, not only about the times and the areas, but also you crystallized an objective that we might be thinking about when we are proposing mitigation strategies in terms of residential energy consumption and elevating those priorities. Of course, there are many reasons we're seeking to mitigate heat, but hearing that residential energy consumption may be a priority for the Commission is useful information. Perhaps we could hear, sorry, I can't see how many hands are up or how many folks are interested to jump in, but maybe we could hear one or two more ideas. I don't want to consume too much time on your agenda.
Vice Chair Bossy has her hand up.
Thank you.
Tammy?
Thank you. Yes, that was muted. Yes, I think the energy demand is a primary concern, and that's, to me, it's becomes more the 5 or 6, 7 time frame of the day. But also, when you think about the fact that the temperatures are getting hotter in our prime seasons, I think, given that that's a big economic driver, looking at the springtime and the fall is also a concern. But and tied to that is also maybe where there's some pedestrian areas and tourist areas, and certainly downtown, Old Town Scottsdale in general being a point. To me, all of those things would be prime considerations, interactive with the relevance to our economic drivers, and also just again our energy. When is our peak energy times? How can we deal with that? Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bossy. And if I might ask just a follow-up, I like that you identified the prime season. And in your opinion, what is the epicenter of the prime season? What is the calendar date that comes to mind for you as you're really exemplifying the sweet spot there?
Well, I mean, obviously our prime seasons tend to be January through March as far as an uber prime, but I think we've lost a lot of opportunities in April because it's becoming less comfortable where people don't want to stay. And also, to some degree, we can extend a little bit into May, which would be normally at least somewhat comfortable time still. But certainly, I kind of conflicted because we have less issues January through March. However, we're by April, people are out of here, which may not have otherwise been here, and and just in general, that we have so many more hot days that are so uncomfortable that it's affecting our ability to attract tourists for longer periods of time. So I'd say, on edges like April, May, huge, particularly April, May, I guess, because we all know, June, July, August, I think we've kind of written off in a lot of ways. But now, from a resident
Okay.
perspective, it would be lovely to have residents be able to enjoy themselves here during the summer better too. But that's a bigger issue. So, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bossi, and Sam. Unless there's anybody really itching to jump in on this, I might recommend that if there is more feedback, I'd love to hear it via email, or we can certainly talk on the phone, or any feedback could be relayed to Tim and his team, and we're in contact with them regularly. But this type of feedback that we've heard from the chair and vice chair is so helpful in setting the parameters for what our data collection will look like, and a number of great ideas have emerged already. Sam, is it okay if we move on, just in the sake of time for the so you can get through the full agenda? I have just a few more slides. And Sam, you are muted, or I am not hearing you.
Yes, I have slide 6, land surface temperature assessment.
Great. Okay, so we're hopefully we're now looking at a map that just has red and blue on it. With it seems like the middle colors are missing. And this was we sort of created this by accident. It's a map of the extremes. It's the same information you saw on the previous slide. It just cuts out the middle. And what really surprised us, we're looking at the whole city map here. And Sam, if you advance to the next slide, it'll focus just on 2 of the growth areas. It is unbelievable to us the percentage of so if we think of the reds as the hot spots in the city, how the high percentage of hotspots that fall in these growth areas. So staff did a very good job identifying areas of priority concern, particularly from a heat perspective. Right? It's almost like these growth area boundaries perfectly capture where many of the hotspots are. So I just wanted to highlight that. We're continuing to think about this analysis of extremes. We're also doing some analysis of trends in land surface temperature over time, which we hope to be able to report into you in March. The last point I will make in terms of analysis we've been doing, Sam, if you could advance to the next slide, please, that has some purple on it. The commission had a recommendation for us to think about and study city-owned and managed land. And we heard you loud and clear, and we discussed that with staff. And it turned out that understanding exactly which land is city-owned and managed is a little bit more complicated than we thought. But we have reached the finish line on identifying what those parcels are. And Sam, as you flip through the next couple of slides, there's one map for growth area. You can see what we've determined to be the city-owned and managed parcels as best possible at this point. And as you're looking at these 3 maps, and Sam, perhaps you could kind of tab back and forth so folks could see them. Yeah, it's clear, at least in the South Scottsdale growth area, there's almost 0 city-owned and managed land. But as we move into Old Town Scottsdale and the Air Park, of course, there's a higher percentage. And there are a lot of what we might call specialty cases, like where the Civic Center is, the runway, of course. So we will be presenting, we'll share results with you specific to city-owned and managed land. But just wanted to share that we are trying to respond to your concern and your recommendation. And it turned out to be a little bit more interesting of a pursuit than we had originally thought. And we will continue to think about how applicable, there are so many special cases for city-owned and managed land that we need to be sure we're thinking about how to interpret those data the correct way. What is not reflected here is anything to deal with streets, medians, rights of way, and we have had a very vigorous conversation with staff about those areas, which of course are city-owned and managed. So I'll pause just to see if there's any immediate reaction to the way we've mapped city-owned and managed land, and we'll certainly be happy to hear feedback after the meeting.
Ryan Johnson has his hand up.
Thank you. Not so much a reaction to the city-owned, but to the previous maps that were the heat maps. It's patently obvious that, Indian Bend Wash is bright blue and then pavement is pink or bright red. I know I'm stating the obvious here, but this really emphasizes the fact that pavement radiates and absorbs heat, correct?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Yeah, absolutely. And what we did have a great, Sam, we could advance to the final slide, which I think is just a sort of a generic wrap-up slide. So Commissioner Johnson, yeah, absolutely, yes, to your statement question there. And we had a recommendation from staff to perhaps do a little more rigorous work quantifying the cooling benefits of Indian Bend Wash. Of course, it's a wonderful amenity for the city for all sorts of reasons, and we're not sure that the cooling benefits have ever been quantified. So we're trying to slot that in on the work we'll be doing. And yeah, certainly looking beyond. Indian Bend Wash only touches one of the growth areas. So also looking within the growth areas, finding some of those blue spots where they do occur, looking at those as model cases, although some of them are golf courses and not entirely relevant. But yeah, thank you, Commissioner Johnson, for highlighting that. And I think we'll certainly be making some vehicle traverses through and around Indian Bend Wash to see how that blue looks when we think about air temperature, not the ground temperature. So to wrap up, I know we've probably consumed a little bit more agenda time than intended. I'll just conclude by saying that in our next 2 months, and when we come back to you in March, we're really transitioning into thinking about and inventorying codes, ordinances, practices, and the possible solution set. We had a great meeting with staff last week. We talked about cool pavement in the city of Phoenix and what they're learning. Staff is helping us set up meetings with some of the planners, so we really have a crystal clear sense of what the relevant ordinances, codes, practices, and habits are. And we certainly look forward to receiving more input from you on how our work moves forward. There are other topics that have been discussed with staff as well over the past couple of months. I don't know if Tim or Bill want to add anything, but that concludes my remarks for today. Thank you all so much for having us.
Okay. Unless there are any other comments coming from any of the participants, I want to thank and move forward
Chair
to
Salster.
agenda item.
Chair Salster.
Yes.
This is Vice Chair Bossy. I do have my hand up real quick. Just a quick question. If we could
You
just
had lowered it.
I did, and I was just because I wanted to make sure I knew it was a new hand. Real quick, just on the coolcrete, if that's the right terminology, I just want to make sure that we put some good emphasis on that as a possibility. To Commissioner Johnson's point about the concrete, we could really make sure that, part of their work on the study, we're really looking into the possibilities of the coolcrete. Thank you.
Okay.
Vice Chair Bossy, thank you. And I'll leave it for Tim and Sam to guide us. But if it would be helpful for the commission, either in this forum or perhaps another forum, to hear more specifics about what Phoenix is learning, we'd be happy to. A lot of the members of our team working on the Scottsdale project have also been helping Phoenix with the Cool Pavement project. So we'd be very happy to share in whatever forum was most appropriate. Thank you for the suggestion.
Okay. And I see that Brent Stockwell has his hand up. So Brent.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission. We did get a preliminary presentation by staff about the Phoenix effort, and we did recommend at that meeting to have a presentation as that work gets finalized to the Commission. So we're definitely anticipating, excuse me, a future presentation to the Commission on it, and we're definitely expecting ASU to include those options in their work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brent.
Without further ado, yes, and thank you for your inputs and for your insights. And what I'd like to do now is move to item number 3, the election of SCAC officers. I want all the commission members to know that I am glad that we have people who have expressed an interest in taking over the responsibility. I did have a conversation with Vice Chair Bossy, who, while interested in assuming the responsibilities, is looking at a very complicated year coming up, both personally and from the business-wise perspective. And so I want to thank her for her interest, but she has deferred to the 2 individuals who have put their name in. Commission member Natalie Christman-Lazar for chair, and Mr. Anthony Colletter for vice chair. Are there any other nominations through self-nomination or by a fellow commissioner for the 2 open positions? Okay. With that being the case, Tim, could you please do a roll call vote for the candidates?
Certainly. Chair Schlosser,
I vote yes for Natalie Christman Lazar as chair and Anthony Coletta as vice chair.
I guess I should have made a clarification. Do you want me to vote, take a vote on each one of them individually?
Chair, this is Commissioner Johnson. I move that we, as a commission, approve Natalie Christman Lazar for chair and Anthony Coletta for vice chair. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a
Second.
motion. Okay, so the motion is made and seconded, which will certainly speed up the meeting. Tim, will you please take a vote on that proposal?
Certainly. I'm going to back up just a little bit. Chair Schlosser,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bossy,
Yes.
Commission Member Natalie Christman Lazar,
Yes.
Commissioner Anthony Coletta,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter Kluklik,
Yes.
and Commissioner Ryan Johnson.
Yes.
So it's unanimous with the members that we have present tonight. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
And at this
Congratulations.
point in time, yes, congratulations or condolences. I'm not sure which is the more important statement. But at this point in time, Natalie is the new chair. I'm going to turn over the running of the meeting to you because I believe that is appropriate. So we're up to agenda item number 4, which I think Sam will comment on, and then it will be up to you to run the balance of the meeting.
Okay, great. I wasn't anticipating that, but that's fine. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate your confidence, and I am excited about the new year. If you could go ahead and go on to agenda item 4.
This is Sam. I want to thank you, Steve and Tammy, for your service, your contribution, great dedication to this commission. Very grateful for your input, for your everything you've put into this. Thank you very much.
And I second that. This is Tim.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think the whole commission would support that comment and statement. This is Ryan Johnson. I do appreciate the leadership we've had. Thank you.
You're all welcome. Now on to item number 4.
Chair Natalie.
Yeah, no, I mean, so who is talking about the confirmation of all ethics code and training? Does that?
This is Sam.
Yes.
I can attest that the clerk's office has received hand-signed copies of from all members present at the meeting tonight for the ethics code training and personal interest disclosure forms.
Okay, great. Sounds like we are all in alignment. Do we need anything further on that going forward?
This is Sam. I need to communicate to both Tony and Walter a request from the clerk's office. I will do that via email after the meeting. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So the next item, item 5, approval of the 2021 Ciac meeting schedule. You all received that in the agenda, and we have it here listed. Does anyone have any issues associated with the proposed meeting schedule? Any discussion?
Chair Lazard, real quick, the September 22nd is showing Yom Kippur. That's not saying that's a meeting date. So we're moving it onto the 16th. Is that what that's saying?
No, I think it's just saying Yom Kippur is on the 15th.
It's on the 15th, so we're moving it back. Okay. All right.
We're having it on the 22nd so we can avoid a conflict with Yom Kippur.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing that I would On the 17th of March is a spring break for Paradise Valley School District. I don't know when Scottsdale School District is, but I don't know yet if we're going to be traveling or not. But depending on the schedule, I'd be open to moving it to the 24th.
This is Ryan Johnson. Scottsdale schools are March the 8th. But I'm open to moving it to the date that was just suggested as well, if necessary.
I have no issues. If that is amenable to everyone, you want to go ahead and change the date to the 24th, March 24th.
Yeah, Madam Chair, this is Ryan Johnson. I move that we approve this calendar with one modification, and that is make that March the 24th. Thank you.
Tammy Bossy has her hands up.
Thank you. Am I misunderstanding? Did Commissioner Johnson say that spring break is the 8th? If so, that wouldn't interfere.
It is the week of the 8th, but we just had one of our fellow commissioners say that he's not able to make it on the date that we had there.
My kids go to Paradise Valley School District, so part of Scottsdale is located in Paradise Valley School District, so up north. And so I was proposing that we move it to the 24th, and I would second Ryan's motion that we approve it with the one modification to change the 17th of March to the 24th of March.
That sounds good. If we could go ahead and have a roll call on the motion. Tim, do you need to do that, or do I do that?
I did not realize it was muted. Certainly, I'll move forward. Chair Christmas Lazar.
I agree. What do we say? Yes, pass. Thank you.
That's fine. Commissioner, or actually Vice Chair Coletta.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Klukulik.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Schlosser.
Yes.
And Commissioner Bossy.
Yes. Yes, it's fine.
Thank you. We also have on our agenda the approval of the 2020 Ciac annual reports. This is the report that Sam sent out to us a few months ago. We all provided comment, and then he just sent it out to us in this particular form, with all of our comments included. Does anyone have any discussion of this particular annual report as provided? I think he's tried to make certain that he includes all of our comments. I didn't see any big issues. Commissioner Ryan Johnson?
If there's no comment, I move that we approve this report. Thank you.
Any second?
I second the motion.
Then let's go ahead and take a vote. Tim, are you on mute again?
Darn it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm writing things down and doing two things at once, and I'm not doing very good at my multitasking. Chair Christmas Lazar.
Yes.
Vice Chair Coletta.
Yes.
Commissioner Kukulik.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Schlosser.
Yes.
And Commissioner Bossy.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Stockwell, you have your hand up.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, I would just suggest that it would be helpful if we could capture who is making the motions and who is seconding the motions, just for the record. On that one, my understanding was Commissioner Johnson moved it, and then Commissioner Schlosser seconded that. I just wanted to make sure that was there for the record. It helps a lot when we're just doing audio. Some people can't recognize the voices. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I will do better. Okay. Thank you so much. Now we have on the next part of our agenda, discussion and possible commission action regarding approach for introducing the new mayor and city council to the commission. So we talked a little bit about this previously. We talked about the possibility of asking if our council and new mayor would like to come and join us at a meeting. Staff have gone through the process of preparing a draft letter to send out to the council and invite them to our meetings. This is kind of what we had discussed previously. Do we have any other discussion on this approach? One of the things that, we've done in the past, has been, maybe to potentially follow up with individual council members as well, not all together, but as individuals. That is something that, we have the option of doing as well. I would say, going ahead and making certain we send something out would be great, but to have a personal touch, to have, each one of us take at least one of the council members just to follow up and introduce ourselves and welcome them to our meetings. That might be a really neat thing if people are interested in. Brian, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks for calling on me. I think two things. One, we have the March 17th date here, which we just modified, so that'll have to be changed. Two, and I wonder if staff would comment on this. I think it's implied that we're inviting them to be agendized to speak. We're not inviting them to be a guest to listen, correct? I mean, is that, I think that's the intent. I don't know if that's a staff question or whoever drafted this. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Johnson, we drafted this in a generic format because at the time we weren't exactly sure how we were going to meet with the council members. We had talked at one time of meeting with no more than 3 at a time. But now we're trying to open it up so that we'll see who will show up and see what we can get done with that. And we can always make it to give them the opportunity so that they could speak to the overall commission and give their input about the different things that we've requested here in this letter, which is what are your considerations or concerns and topics and goals that are based on environmental sustainability, and what can we do to start to address those goals for them. So that was the intent of what we were doing. If we need to rewrite it, we can definitely do that.
No, thank you, Tim. That's helpful. I don't know, you don't need to rewrite it. You may just need to add a word or two that says something to the effect of, we'd be happy to put you on the agenda to speak or something like that, if staff thinks that's necessary. Maybe it's already implied in here, and I'm a city outsider, so I'm not sure if it's already implied. Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson, this is Tim Connor again. I believe it's not a bad idea to be straightforward with this and to that way invite them to come in to say a few words to the commission. I think you will get better feedback that way than them just listening to the meeting.
I think so as well. Walter Kukulik has his hand up.
Yeah, I would also just make sure that we also, I agree with you 100% that we should ask them to kind of give their viewpoints. But if we end up doing this, I think we should present to them what we think some low-hanging fruit or opportunities or whatever you want to say are, as well, right? So that's my only comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Kukulik. I think we could have people coming throughout the year, so there is that we have to address. We probably don't want to give them, an overview each time they come. So perhaps, sending with this our annual report that kind of gives them a flavor of what we're working on, so that it kind of gives them an overview. Commissioner Bossi, you have your hand up as well.
Yes, thank you. I just wonder, if we want to time this in some way related to the sustainability plan, and I would guess I would ask staff about that timing as well, because I assume we'll be having some, more input on that in the coming times. And does that have any relevance to the timing of when we might be meeting with people? And also, I did like your idea of us trying to meet with the different council people like we've done in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, at this particular time, maybe we can go ahead and I think we can table some of the other items. I do think getting this out to the council as soon as possible is useful so that they can put it on their agenda for the rest of the month. But I do, having that ability to follow up with them and give them additional information, I think is kind of key to helping them see the purpose that the things that we're very interested in. Mr. Connor?
Yes, Chair and members of the commission. I think that tying it to the sustainability plan might be a problematic situation. Right now, we are working with Brian Boyle, our intern, on developing indicators that will be metrics that we try to gauge as we're going along and have some goals set. So at this point, we are hoping that those metrics might go ahead and help us to formulate a more responsive sustainability plan for an overarching plan. A second thing to kind of add to that conversation is the council is seeming to be very interested in reopening the general plan. And so they may not be so concerned with what our plan is saying until that plan is completed, because they're going to have the goals that are in there that are related to what we're looking at as well. It's just an observation, not necessarily something that's going to go on. But, sure, as long as we've got something underway, we can always provide them with updates, definitely. In fact, we plan to do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. I guess I would personally lobby that we go ahead and send something out to them as soon as we can. I agree with Tammy that they should be aware of our, view on some of the items that we're very passionate about, and especially if they're talking about revisiting the general plan, that they have some input. Commissioner Johnson, you have your hand raised.
Thanks. So I'm going to move that we approve this letter with two modifications. One is the date of March 17th to March 24th. And the other one, we're going to trust in staff to clarify the wording that the council member and or mayor would be invited as an agendized speaker, not as a listener. And I also like everything that's just been said. I'm supportive of the idea that we should provide them with some idea of what our priorities would be for this year and what we've done last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Coletta, I second that motion.
I think Tammy got it in there before you. So we have a motion made by Commissioner Johnson to go ahead and revise the letter to include the correct date, to identify that we would love to agendaize their visit so that they'd have the opportunity to speak with us about their passion, and to also include with this letter a copy of our annual report so that they have an idea of some of the things that we're working on, and Commissioner Bossy seconded it. If we could have a roll call vote.
Certainly. Chair Krisman Lazar.
Yes.
Vice Chair Coletta.
Yes.
Commissioner Klukulek.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Slosser.
Yes.
And Commissioner Bossy.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like to reach out and make certain that if people are interested in reaching out to the individual members, if you could go ahead and let Tim know, that way I can go through and suggest, you know, you can tell me who you would like to reach out to, and I think we could go ahead and canvass all of the council, especially the new council members. If you could let them know who you would like to follow up with, I think that it would be a great way to, again, personalize this a follow up on this letter. With this, let's go to the next item. We have discussion and possible commission action regarding the revised Environmental Advisory Commission bylaws. I don't know if you all want to put that up. If you've had the opportunity to kind of take a look at this, you know, I did ask at one time for the red line version, and what I was able to discern from that is really this is a lot of procedural change associated with a lot of the commissions. It doesn't appear to be unique to us, and maybe you know, Mr. Stockwell can give us a little bit more of an update. Is this really just administrative changes associated with what you're doing with all of the commissions?
Chair, members of the commission, this is Brent Stockwell. What we did is take a look at other recently revised bylaws and just try to make it consistent with those. So they are consistent with other commission bylaws. They are not consistent with all commission bylaws. With 25 some different groups, they all get advised, they all get reviewed at different times by different attorneys. And so there are some changes. But I know when I took a look at it and compared to some of the other ones that had been updated recently, we were trying to incorporate in some of the best practices and the consistency in that. It's also helpful as possible to be consistent across commissions. I know you've heard me say before that I help support, I think, 18 of them. And so if you have 18 separate bylaws, it's hard to, you know, remember which rules are for what. So I can assure you that we tried to be consistent with others in this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Bossi, you have your hand raised? Or was that just momentarily?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Yes, just a question about 1.9 for Mr. Stockwell. Is, you know, the committee restriction, that's across the board. Is that across the board with all commissions?
Yes, that's correct. That's by chair, members of the commission. That's in ordinance. So it is a law that impacts all boards and commissions.
A law. Okay.
In Scottsdale, by ordinance, the city council has approved it.
So yeah, so when the three, like if there's three of us working on something, like for instance, the Earth Day, that's a task force, and that's how we've called it in the past. Or I mean, a task force is an appropriate name for that. I mean, what's
no, Chair, Commissioner Bossi, members of the commission, that Arizona Attorney General has actually issued an opinion that because we're getting over two issues here. One issue is that the city council has said that any committees need council approval. And the reason why any committee needs council approval is each public body, so because the commission is formed by the council, you carry basically with it all of the open meeting law requirements that the council does. And if you form another body, you carry those requirements to it as well, with agendas, meeting minutes, marked agendas, staff support, all those things with it. And so a number of years ago, the council basically said, time out, let's make sure that we have a little bit of process, and any one of our public bodies that wants to form a committee, subcommittee, task force by any name, it needs to go back up for us approval. Separate from that issue is the issue that you're raising, and that is that the Arizona Attorney General, in their interpretation of the Arizona open meeting law, and what it defines to be committees or subcommittees or task force, and they have issued an opinion that says it doesn't matter what you call it. If it's either formed on motion of the public body or formed by the chair of the public body, it's it's a committee and it's subject to the open meeting law. So in general, and I've written this up to be helpful for other bodies, if you are volunteering to work on an event, and individual members are volunteering to assist staff with working on an event, that's okay. But it is not okay for commission members to volunteer, or a motion to be taken, or commission members to volunteer at a meeting, or a vote to be taken of the public body, or the chair to designate members of it, because then you're forming a committee under Arizona open meeting law. And then that's kind of two strikes, because you have the problem with the open meeting law, and then you also have the problem with the ordinance. So what I will do is I have that summary out, and I will make sure and get that to the chair and the vice chair. So they have that after this meeting, and I'll also copy Sam and Tim on it so they can get out to the rest of the members as well. It is, I always, whenever I talk about this, I always make an apology. I know this is different than any other committee or group that you're a part of, most likely. But these are the rules that we have to live with because they're passed by the state legislature or the council, as it may be. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Mr. Stockwell. Do we have any other concerns about the bylaws?
Chair Christmas Lazar, could I just ask a follow-up clarification?
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Bossy. So, in the past, we've had like a couple people be working on a letter or a report or general plan input or whatever, but no action. It's just you're fleshing it out, because there's a lot of detail stuff that needs to be fleshed out. So, but as long as we're interacting in that with staff through that process, that is acceptable. Is that?
That is what we are hearing, and I think that Mr. Stockwell will give us additional guidance that I hope will clarify. But I mean, at the end of the day, the intention here is for us not to have a formal body that we designate as a group for something. So I think that hopefully his guidance will provide a little bit more detail so that we can stay within this. But at the end of the day, the actual bylaws are what they are. We will have to kind of address that as we work forward. Mr. Stockwell?
Chair, members of the commission, I realize you were kind of wrapping that up, but I just wanted to add one more thing. The other concept to keep in mind is that the public's business must be conducted in public. So that's another thing that you need to take into consideration as you're discussing or deliberating about an action or recommendation that the commission is going to take. The public has the right to participate in that, to listen to it. And so that's the other concept in the open meeting law that we're trying to hold true to, and that is to make sure that the commission's discussion aren't happening outside of the public, but at a commission meeting. And you're right, I will get out more direction about that. That'll be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have a motion on this? Do we want to vote on it, or are there still concerns that we want to table and talk about this more?
Chair Christmas Lazar, this is Commissioner Bossy. I will make a motion that we approve the bylaws.
Thank you so much. Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Walter Kukulik.
Thank you so much. So we have a motion that Commissioner Bossy has asked that we go ahead and approve the bylaws as provided to us, and Commissioner Kukulik has seconded that motion. If we could have a roll call vote.
Certainly. Chair Christmas Lazar.
Yes.
Vice Chair Coletta.
Yes.
Commissioner Kukulik.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Slosser. Commissioner Slosser, you're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. And Commissioner Bossy.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is something that's, kind of fun. We have discussion regarding our ideas and contribution toward Earth Day 2021. If we could have maybe a little bit of discussion on where we want to go with this. In the past, we have helped out with some of the city planning. If there are individuals that are passionate about helping out with that, and or if you have additional ideas, some of the Earth Day information that has come out has been associated with for this year with the theme of restoring our Earth. So Earth Day, for those who haven't dealt with this in the past, really is a movement that is bigger than just one little place. There is an international organization that kind of ties this all together. And again, not restore our Earth is the theme. We can, of course, do what we want. Does anyone have any input in terms of brainstorming that we could put out there right at the moment for Earth Day? Commissioner Johnson?
Thank you, Chair. Last year, as you know, we had a lot of momentum and a lot of great work done by you and by Commissioner Coletta. And I think everybody was involved at one point with judging the art. Terrific momentum last year. And then, of course, COVID hit, which was a big disappointment because we had a great event planned as well. So this year, we're still in COVID times, at least in my mind we are. I think everybody's still operating as though we're in COVID times, despite some vaccines being distributed. Maybe just one idea. I think it's probably, the timing's probably a little too tight to do another art competition. But we do have a new mayor coming in, a new council coming in. The mayor, I happen to know from personal experience that the mayor was endorsed by the Green Chamber. So my impression is that the new mayor has an interest in sustainability and green business topics. So, I don't know if it's another letter, well, we just approved one, but if it's another letter to the mayor and the commission, asking them how they would like to potentially honor Earth Day this year. Tree plantings are always good. Those always reduce carbon, but apologize for rambling. I guess I'm just suggesting that, I'm just suggesting that maybe we consult with the mayor's chief of staff. And I'm not sure when we had inauguration today, obviously at the federal level, but I'm not sure when the new mayor takes office. So maybe someone can clarify that. Thank you.
I think he's already been. Mr. Stockwell, you have your hand up?
Yes, Chair. Commissioner Johnson, members of the commission. Two things. That new Mayor Ortega and the members of the council were sworn in and took office on January 12th. So last Tuesday, they've already had two meetings. With regards to Earth Day, as you know, we have a Sustainable Scottsdale steering team, and we have several staff that have agreed to work alongside any volunteers from the commission on planning the Earth Day. And also, I have already had a meeting with the mayor about sustainability, and I know he's very interested in it, particularly sustainability in the built environment. He also expressed this was a meeting with the mayor and the chief of staff. He also expressed his interest in working with the school districts and students. And so I think it probably is not too late to explore another sort of art effort or another effort with the schools. I know it's something that he expressed. It definitely was relayed to me when I talked to him about it. So if the outcome of this is to know a couple of people from the commission that, let me state it this way. If the commission is supportive of doing another Earth Day event, which I assume you are, then it would be appropriate for several members of the commission, up to 3 members of the commission, to let Tim Connor know that they would be interested in working on this so that we could work collaboratively with you on this moving forward, yet still comply with your bylaws, the code, and the open meeting law. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Schlosser?
I wanted, let me see if I'm unmuted here.
You are.
I looked up the Earth Day for 2021 is April 22nd. And I think that we have at least one, if not two meetings before the month of April. I think we can still run an art project. Maybe we call it, Repair of the World or something like that. But I think the art project that we ran last year was extremely good. I want to applaud the people who have color vision who've made the decision on the winning entrance. But I think we should champion that again. I think that's a good thing to have as part of Earth Day. And if we can get the council and the mayor to interact with the school districts, I think generating a little enthusiasm and creativity out in the classrooms for projects and artwork, I think is worth the effort. And I'd be willing to support that with time and energy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Commissioner Kukulik, you have your hand up as well.
Yeah, and I guess this would be a question for staff, I guess. Have commissions ever asked for money from the city for something? And what I'm thinking is, I think Tim or I forget who was talking about tree planting, but one of the cool things I've seen some cities do is they'll buy 500 trees and allow residents to pick them up for free at the service yard. And they can plant a tree and they can pick it up for free, and it's the first 500 citizens. And I've just seen these programs work in other cities. I don't know if it works under our city's laws or whatever, but I guess my question overall, could the Environmental Council ask for $10,000 to go buy trees to give away, as a program? Is that something within our purview, or is do other commissions? I've heard other commissions have budgets. I'm just curious if that's
I think it's definitely a worthwhile idea. There's also the option of soliciting funds through grants or any type of fundraising that we have purview to or the city has purview to, and that is something that's an option. And I would imagine, if we're passionate about that, I really do think that would be something that with our participation with the city, that'd be something that we could hash out. I think right at the moment, I think Commissioner Bossi has her hand up. I wanted to make certain that anybody who wants to actually participate is being identified at this point. I did get that Commissioner Schlosser was interested. Tammy, do you want to go ahead and provide some input as well?
Oh, before we move on, Commissioner or Chair, Tim or Brent, or do you guys? I mean, have other commissions asked for funds from the city to do programs at all ever? I'm just wondering if that's something that's happened.
Mr. Stockwell, you want to respond to that?
Sure, Chair, Commissioner Kukulik, members of the commission. I would say probably the most applicable one would be the Human Relations Commission. Does do quite a lot of events, and we have been able to support some of their events with city funding. Of course, the Earth Day effort last year, we did expend city funds to support that as well. The one thing to think about with the idea that Commissioner Kukulik suggested is different than other communities. The city has a very specific gift clause in the city charter that the voters approved that requires us to get something in return for anything that's given, and that analysis would have to be done in this case. But Chair Chrisman Lazar was quick to that by pointing that out, that perhaps you could solicit from a private donor or something like that to participate in that, and if that was done, then those would not be city funds. And so there's a way forward. And as you may recall too, the city did participate in the purchase of trees and working with the urban offsets with Earth Day last year. So there is some elements of that as well. So I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stockwell. Tammy, you've been patient. You want to go ahead and provide some input there?
Thank you, Chair Lazar. Just the APS and SRP both have tree planting programs that they manage really well. Is that, are we precluded from some kind of a partnership with the utility?
We are not. We did explore that last year. SRP is limited to their area. So you pretty much, if you get a tree, you have to get a tree and plant it in their area. It makes it logistically a little bit harder. But I mean, it is definitely an option that can be explored. I think that these are all great ideas. I do think, we don't necessarily have to stay in the tree realm. I mean, if anybody has any other input on other ideas in terms of the Restore Our Earth, I think a lot of types of things that are being discussed. They've talked about cleanups, various other types of activities that the community can participate in and may not have to be together in a close proximity to each other. So as we've discussed as well, Commissioner Johnson, making certain that we consider COVID. I do love the idea that Commissioner Kukulik came up with as well, having something that residents can come and do on their own with trees. So I appreciate all of these comments. I would love to kind of wrap this up with identifying 3 individuals that want to participate with city staff on Earth Day. Walter, do you have your hand up again, or is that from before?
Sorry, that was from before.
No worries, no worries. Commissioner Bossi?
I would be happy to join in this year if we need the help.
That would be great. I think it was a great opportunity. I enjoyed working on it, and I just don't want to put my hand up there again and take that from someone else that didn't get to do it last time, because it was definitely worthwhile. And I know that we had some issues associated with COVID, but it really was it was meaningful and impactful to me. Commissioner Schlosser?
I wanted to also volunteer to work with staff on this issue.
Great. So we have Commissioner Bossi and Commissioner Schlosser. At this point, if anybody else has a desire to join, you can always go ahead and put your name in the hat and let staff know, and we can formalize that. But it was a great opportunity, and I it's not that other people can't work on it. It's just that is a commitment that's separate, that to attend meetings with staff to further some of these ideas that we've brought forward is really where we're going with this. So with that, unless there's any other ideas that we want to provide, I'd like to go to the next next agenda item, which is the staff updates. First one we have on here is the Sustainability Indicators Report update from Brian Boyle.
Hi, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the Commission. Thank you for having me. I know that I have had the opportunity to meet or reach out to a few of you, but for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brian Boyle. I am the sustainability intern for the city and a recent graduate from ASU with my master's in sustainability solutions. So I am very excited to be here. So just looking specifically at the sustainability indicators work, which is a piece or a scope of the work that I'll be doing throughout the duration of my time with the city. Based on conversations with Tim and Brent, we're narrowing this focus down at the moment, looking specifically at municipal operations. We just deemed that would be a good place to start. in terms of this indicator work. So to provide a brief synopsis of where this stands and the work that's been done already, I have conducted an analysis of current sustainability initiatives within the city. In addition, had conversations with Tempe and Phoenix sustainability leads, Braden Kay and Mark Hartman, along with conducted some research into the work of other cities through the Urban Sustainable Directors Network. Got to see some best practices along with various frameworks and reporting organizations that cities are currently using. So at this point, we have a rough draft or outline of potential municipal indicators. And I am working with Tim to set up conversations now with various department employees and city subject matter experts to kind of dive deeper into each department and make sure that we are on the same page, have a solid understanding of what we're trying to do, as well as what internal goals may exist that I was unaware of currently, as well as what data is currently available, and basically the plausibility of some of these current draft indicators that I've outlined. So with that being said, my goal is to continue working on that through the next month here, and then come next meeting, be able to present and share with you a more mature status of the indicator work, and then we can have where I can hear your input and we can have a greater discussion regarding that. And and just to clarify briefly, with this being said, we're focusing in on the municipal operations at the moment, but this is essentially just the starting point and kind of building a foundation around sustainability for the city. So with the idea of expanding on this in the future and definitely continuing this work and looking into more community-wide indicators that will feed into the greater sustainability strategy. So that is all for me. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Mr. Boyle, and we appreciate your work here. And I don't know if some of you may not have heard previously. Mr. Boyle is an intern with us, and so we have him for 3 months. Hopefully, we might be able to cajole the city to keep him on. But right at the moment, he is doing some diligent work, and I look forward to hearing a little bit further about his work at next meeting. Does anybody else have any comments for Mr. Boyle? Then we have general updates from Mr. Connor.
Thank you, Chair and members of the commission. I wanted to make sure that everybody received this invite from the Sonoran Institute, basically for growing water smart in Arizona and Colorado. There's a seminar that's coming up, and I believe it's 3 days long, one for Arizona and one for Colorado. I know Commissioner Bossi has been interested in looking into this further and had some problems with the website. If you do have problems with the website, please get back in touch with me and I'll take care of that, even if I have to go back out to the Sonoran Institute and ask for a new copy of what they had put out for links. The second item that I have is that Vice Chair Coletta's term is about to end. And I'm not sure if he's aware, but they are saying that the applications must be in by Friday the 22nd. Now, you can fill this out online now, so I would suggest that you go out and do that, sir. And if we would sure like to have you back. There are a couple other candidates right now in play, but I know that generally the council supports the return of commissioners to those commission spots. So just wanted to encourage you, sir, to go ahead and take that activity and get it completed before Friday. That's it for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Bossi, you have your hand up.
Thank you. Yes, I did just try again just a few moments ago to log into that webinar, to the water program, and it says page not found. So yes, if we could check on that. I've tried it several times. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner or Vice Chair Coletta.
Thank you, Chair. Tim, to respond, yeah, I've submitted my application and I've followed up with an email to Rommel just to make sure it's been received and to ask about if they set the schedule for the appointments, scheduled appointments. Just waiting to hear back from him. Thank you.
Thank goodness. Thank you, Mr. Coletta. All righty. So our next update here is for the green building. Mr. Floyd.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I have 3 items. The first is I just want to remind you that I will be coming to the commission for recommendation to adopt the 2021 Energy Code and Green Construction Code. And I suspect that that will be anytime at the earliest, March, April timeframe. At the latest would be in the fall, probably October. There's a window that I'm working within, and what's somewhat delaying us right now is the publication of the 2021 Energy Code and Green Construction Code. It's in the process of being published, and we hope to have it by the beginning of February, so we can begin to circulate it with our building code staff and begin to finalize our amendments. But I'll be heavily focused on the energy and the green building amendments. The second thing is solar activity in the city. We issue solar permits, and we've hit our record this past year in 2020, over 700 permits. May not seem like a lot of solar installations, but compared to where it was before, it keeps increasing every year. And we suspect that's going to continue because the solar tax credit was extended as a part of the stimulus funding over the last month that was approved by Congress. So the 26% tax credit is extended for another 3 years. So we're going to continue to see increasing solar. And then finally, our green building webinar, February 4th, it will be on edible landscapes. And we're trying something different. We're doing it remotely at a community garden. So we'll see how that works out. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Floyd. That is awesome. I do appreciate all that you're doing, and we will look forward to definitely promoting the building code amendment, as well as any other help that we can provide on that front. Commissioner Bossy, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question for Anthony and just the board in general about, is there some possibility to coordinate one of the green building webinars with Earth Day? So I'll just throw that out there, and we'll be, I guess, flesh that out with the staff on talking about it. But I don't know if anybody has any thoughts about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I can respond to that. Commissioner Bossy, yes, I'm in communication actually with Green Living Magazine, and so that the focus will be on Earth Day. I'm still waiting to get the synopsis from Green Living Magazine, but we were planning on devoting that to Earth Day. And sorry, I didn't bring that up earlier. It is kind of connected with what we're doing. So I will share what's being proposed to the editor at Green Living Magazine.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Kukulik, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. The only question I have for Anthony is, I point to California and their code requirement, building code requirement around new residential construction having solar or being a zero energy requirement, right, for new residential construction. And then you even have cities that have retrofit kind of requirements. Do you see any pathway to Scottsdale ever doing something along those lines as a building code requirement for solar on residential?
Chair, Commissioner Kukulik, it would be a part of our green construction code. And so this is something I'll be sharing in more detail when I present this to the commission, but it is a part of the green construction code. And so we would continue to do that with the 2021 edition. It's just that the green construction code only applies to commercial buildings. and we're using it as a density bonus trade-off. So it's only in certain mixed-use commercial zones around the city that is being done. But I understand what you're saying. You're talking about extending it to single family, and that's something we'll need to discuss within our staff and the building department.
Yeah, because this is my last comment that I'll make on it. And I heard this from a builder once, and it sunk in with me because, again, you know that I came from the single family residential home building industry for a while. And the builder told me, it's criminal that we have better standards or promote better standards for commercial construction than we do it for residential, when we spend just as much time, if not more, in residential buildings as commercial. And so that's the only thing is I think we have the opportunity to increase our residential building codes. And if you look at some anecdotal as well as quantitative data from different industry groups, it shows a correlation between property values and green building standards in the residential side. You can find, anyway, but that's the last I'll leave it. But anyway, I would encourage us to look at the residential component as well.
Chair and Commissioner Kukulik, yes, I will look more into that and seeing how we can incorporate that. Thank you.
And Mr. Flood, I would just say, we are, we do have, when we talk about Scottsdale as a leader, we have a history of doing things before other people do. And, if there is an opportunity and any momentum to go beyond what is just in the code, if it's going to make an impact, that would be something that, we would be excited about trying to promote. So, if there are ways that we could help try to go further than the code, again, I'm drawn to like a totally related example, but the premise of putting sprinklers in people's houses, that's not something that everybody does, but it's something that Scottsdale does, and there's been a definite impact, and that's something that, again, we can show leadership in. And so I wouldn't want to stop at something just because that's what the code says.
I welcome that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bossi, you have your hand up.
Apologize, didn't take it down.
Okay, no worries. Let's go ahead and move on because we're getting on this. So let's go ahead and have an update from Mr. Stockwell on the Sustainable Scottsdale Steering Team.
Thank you, Chair, members of the Commission. We've already touched on a number of things that we also touched on in our monthly meeting, which was, they're always held the first Thursday of the month. And again, this is the team that has representatives from almost all of the city departments that come together to talk about the work that they're doing in the environmental sustainability realm, and also update on the objectives that you, of course, get bi-monthly updates on. We did spend some time this month talking about Earth Day, and as I mentioned that when we talked about that item previously, and we have a number of staff that will be working alongside the volunteers of the Commission on that. We do think that there will be virtual elements of that, and we are looking for ways to involve the mayor and council on that as well. So we're looking forward to working with you on that. The other areas I wanted to highlight is in last month you heard an update on our energy and fuel programs. I'm pleased to announce that this week we have an electric street sweeper delivered and being demoed on Scottsdale streets this week to kind of prove its fitness in the operations. They also did follow up on electric side loaders for the solid waste department, but unfortunately right now they're not in production, and we're hoping to have a demo on that in the last quarter of calendar year 2021. In addition, I just wanted to update you that under our fourth initiative, which is our waste reduction, diversion, and recycling efforts, our solid waste department continues their work auditing the waste stream of ultimately all city facilities. They're working on fire stations right now, and looking at the diversion rates and then how they can use education to improve that. They've also educated fleet crews and added recycling containers and new protocols in that because they have kind of round the clock shifts on that. They also passed along that because we have both a safety initiative and a sustainability initiative, sometimes those overlap. And one of our departments, solid waste, has now unplugged and removed all personal fridges and microwaves throughout their department when they became aware of the safety and environmental consequences of that. Now they use a centrally located refrigerator and microwave. That gives you a sense of kind of from the small and the micro to the relatively large issues. That team is continuing to work on Sustainable Scottsdale. The last thing I'll mention is, and this kind of leads into your last item on the agenda, next month would be the update on our third initiative, which is related to the heat island mitigation plan, tree shade urban cooling plan, and green infrastructure low impact development plan. And because you've already getting bi-monthly updates on the Cooler Scottsdale project, I think most of that will probably focus on the green infrastructure and low impact development plan. And I think that'll be a good discussion for you all to have. And again, I want to thank Brian Boyle on our team. He's doing great work on the indicators and also preliminary work on the sustainability plan, and then also has been reviewing the general plan, for sustainability comments as well. It's great to have him on our team. So I'll keep keeping you updated on a monthly basis. If I have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bossi, you have your hand up?
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Stockwell, just do we promote the electric street sweeper? That would be a fun little promotion. And the little things you're talking about, like the changes and as far as the refrigerator, is there any way that that anybody knows about these things?
Yeah, Chair, Commissioner Bossi, members of the commission, we have communication staff on our Sustainable Scottsdale steering team, and when items like that of interest come up, they make sure and work to get those to the council and then ultimately out through our various publications into the Sustainable Scottsdale site, as well. But I appreciate you letting us know things that you find interesting, because I can pass that along to them and make sure that they're communicating that out more broadly. Thank you.
How about the mayor right on the street sweeper as a photo op?
Chair, Commissioner, members of the commission, I would rather do that once we had actually acquired one and had it on the street, rather than promoting one particular vendor for that, as it's just a pilot, but I think it's great.
That is awesome. That does bring me to just the overall premise that, I think one of the things that I talked about and that was important to me when we talked about the annual report is the premise of community liaison, that is part of our role here, and looking at ways for us to have a broader impact than just attending meetings and providing input to staff. And that would be something I would challenge everyone to think about, ways that we can basically increase our impact in our community. And if that is through letting people know about some of these things that Scottsdale is doing, if we can try to think about that as an objective, I would definitely challenge everyone for that. Commissioner Schlosser, you have your hand up, and you're on mute.
Yes.
There you go.
I wanted to thank Brent for bringing this to our attention. There were a number of articles in the recent Wall Street Journal this week about heavy-duty trucks and buses that are now being experimented with that are all electric, both domestically and overseas. And one of them was actually very fascinating, but very expensive, which was a self-charging bus lane. I do not recommend this for Scottsdale. But there certainly are opportunities, and my hope would be that as we take a look at the replacement of our transportation infrastructure that's being used within the city, automobiles, pickup trucks, and trucks that, the garbage, solid waste collection trucks, that we try and explore, non-fossil fuel versions of these to see if they make, we know they'll make environmental sense. Whether they make financial sense is a whole different issue. But certainly a number of companies are very close to introducing, and they're well-funded companies too, introducing all electric pickup trucks with 300-mile ranges and hauling capacities equivalent to a Ford F-150. And as we move forward, having this as part of our replacement planning, I think would be, another great statement of our commitment to sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. With that, I think we're kind of getting into this. I was hoping to open the floor to anticipated items for discussion on next month's agenda. Commissioner Bossi?
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure that the general plan and the sustainability plan are on the agenda. The council met, and the next step is going to be additional commission input for the general plan. So I want to make sure that we have it on our agenda. And then the sustainability plan, just want to stay on top of that as far as the timing and when we need to be a part of that. And then and we're going to keep Earth Day on there, I'm assuming, correct?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
In terms of the general plan, Tim, could you provide us a little bit of an update on when that would be coming back? If that was my understanding previously, based on our discussions, that we've provided input. Now they're going through the process of compiling all of that, and then it is going to be sent back to all of the commissions to have them provide additional input. Is that correct?
Well,
Tim?
staff was marching down that road, and we have a new council, and they've decided to interject themselves somewhat. And they've basically pulled, if you pull up the last marked agenda, you'll see that they had a discussion about creating a new committee, going out for more public input. And they did not even mention coming back to the boards and commissions, not to my knowledge. So there's a new process in town right now, and we're trying to understand what that means. I don't think they defined it well yet, and they're going to be making decisions on that shortly. So putting the general plan onto our agenda is probably not going to be something that's going to be real fruitful unless we do have some understanding of where the council has gone, which we might have by that time. So Sam,
well, I mean,
watch that.
If we can keep it on the agenda, and that way it will prompt us to discuss it and understand what the current status is and any actions that we can take. That would be great.
Very good.
Mr. Stockwell, you have your hand up.
Chair and members of the commission, I was at last night's council meeting virtually, and I can tell you that we're continuing the process. So definitely a general plan will be on your next agenda. We were going to have it on this one, but we just wanted to delay it until after we had their direction, which we got last night. So we'll have that on, and I think we can certainly, it makes a lot of sense to have Earth Day on there, and it also makes sense. We'll just have Brian incorporated in his environmental indicators presentation, a little bit of a preview of the work he's been doing on the sustainability plan, so we get that covered too. Thank you.
That would be great. Thank you so much. Commissioner Bossi, you have your hand up still?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just received an email from Adam Yaron regarding the general plan, and it says that the council voted not to have it, that the committee, yes, but then it has a list of the items that are going to happen next, and at the top of that list it says 13, city boards and commission meetings to review general plan content. And then after that, it says community open houses. And then it goes into the council sessions. So I just received this today from staff about the general plan.
That sounds promising then. I think we'll be able to definitely discuss it further next meeting, and hopefully they are progressing and not just going back to the drawing board. So appreciate all of that input. Anybody else have any items that they want to add to the agenda? One of the things that I was I'm a little bit unfamiliar with is sometimes we seem like we have we discuss this agenda at the end of each meeting, and it doesn't seem to all coalesce for me. Sometimes it just seems like we randomly address the next thing. I would like to put on the agenda maybe a plan of attack for the year. Something that we can all kind of put input into. We have the items, the actions that we said we thought we were going to be interested in, but having basically a work plan for our meetings kind of might put some framework around that and help us understand what we're going to be planning for the year. And so I don't know if that sounds like a useful idea for anybody else, but for me, it would help organize my thoughts and understand specifically, even just with the Sustainable Scottsdale steering team, understanding the plan for the year and understanding all the different items that we're planning to do for this year would help me understand that we're making progress. Commissioner Johnson?
Yeah, I would thoroughly support that. I totally agree with you, Natalie. Thank you.
All right. So if you guys think that's something that we can at least discuss, I will go through and go ahead and prepare something. It's just an outline for stuff that we've discussed, and that way we can have something to discuss at our next meeting. Mr. Stockwell?
Chair, members of the commission, I appreciate you mentioning that. We do that with other boards and commissions, and would be happy to assist you with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Bossi?
Thank you, Chair. Just quickly, if I could just make a plug for the climate change and climate action plan. It's part of that. Thank you.
As part of our in our work plan, basically.
Moving forward, yes. Thank you.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. If anyone else has additional ideas that are not already included in our annual look ahead, please review that and let me know with an email to staff. Commissioner Coletta?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could just throw out there for our next meeting, Sam, I know this was an item quite a while ago, but I haven't heard anything lately. The organic turf initiative that we had a while ago, if we could just get some sort of an update on if that's completed, what the results were, where we stand, if anything was beneficial of that, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Sam. Noted, Tony.
Sounds great. If we have any other actions, we're at the end of our agenda. Please let me know. Tony, do you still have your hand up, or are you just haven't put it down? Okay, there you go. It looks like we don't have any additional information for the good of the order. We have some good actionable items on our agenda for next month. Commissioner Johnson?
I move that we adjourn, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone want to second that?
Commissioner Coletta, second that motion.
Thank you so much. So we have a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Johnson, and it is seconded by Vice Chair Coletta. If we could take a roll call vote.
Certainly. Chair Chrisman Lazar, excuse me.
Yes, sorry, I was like, okay, yes, I'm supposed to be doing something there. Thank you.
Vice Chair Coletta,
Yes.
Commissioner Kukulik,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Schlosser,
Yes.
and Commissioner Bossy.
Yes.
We have a vote. Okay. We're closing the meeting at 10 after 7. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well done, Natalie.
Thank you.
Well done. Yes. Thank you.